Hi guys, today we'll be learning about for loops, and I'll try my best as much as possible to deconstruct it to make it as easily understandable as possible. So the three things we'll be doing with for loops is I'm going to be showing you how to use it to print or to console.log a range of numbers, because Python calls it print. But so what's it called? JavaScript calls it console.log, but we'll leave it as print for now. So for loop, you write your for. This is the basic structure of for loop, right? You have your for, you have your bracket, and then you have your curly bracket. It's a basic structure. In the bracket, you put your conditionals, your condition for the loop, and in the curly bracket, you put the code you want to execute. It is that simple. All right, so the condition for this loop is that we're going to be creating a variable called I. This I can be anything. It can be X. It can be your name, as long as you use the same thing here and here. So this is saying we want to create a loop. And the first time this loop will go round, I will have a value of 1. The next time it goes round, I will have a value of 2. How do we know? Because this I plus plus means increase I by 1 every time it goes round. So the question now lies, when will I stop increasing? This is what determines it. As soon as it gets to 10, it stops. Now, how do we know I is increasing? We have to console log it, right? We have to console log it. So each time I increase, we want to execute this code. Console log I. If we run it, as you can see, the first time I increased, console log happened and it printed 1. The second time it happened, printed 2. So this is how this code runs, right? I is equal to 1, right? It checks. Is 1, does that value of 1 meet this condition? It meets it because 1 is less than 10. This condition says as long as the value of I is less than or equal to 10, the loop should continue. If it is greater than 10, the loop should stop, right? So I'll come again. The first thing that is checked is this. I is equal to 1. Good. Is I less than or equal to 10? It is less than or equal to 10. Good. What happens? This is executed. Since I is equal to 1, it comes down here and it prints 1. And this is what gets executed last. This is increment. It means I gets incremented. Now, the second time around, this loop is going, I is now 2. It checks again. Is 2 greater than or equal to 10? Oh, is 2 less than or equal to 10? Because this value is the less than sign. Yes, 2 is less than, so it means continue. I will be console logged, which is 2. And then it gets incremented to 3. And the whole thing repeats and repeats. Then when we get to 10, I gets to 10, we check, is it less than or equal to 10? It's not less than 10, but it's equal to 10, so it continues. And then we console log, and 10 is here. And then this increases again, and this I becomes 11. We check, is 11 less than or equal to 10? No, it is neither less than nor equal to 10. Because that condition is not met, this condition, the loop stops, which is why we have 10. It stops there. Now, if I take this to 11, you will notice that 11 will be printed because 11 is less than or equal to 11. So let's erase this and print again. See, it gets to 11 this time. So that's how you interpret loops. That's the basic explanation for loops. The next thing we are going to check is how to use loop to find the length of a string. Now, this is a string, Kingsley at, that's my name. I removed some of the last letters of my name. Right, we know that if we count this is 1, 2, 3, 4. If we count the space, 5, 6, 7. The number of characters in this name is 7. So if we want to count, if we want to console log the number of characters in my name, we can loop through it. So that when we loop, the first loop goes through this and we'll create a variable that increases every time the loop goes through it. Once loop goes through k, the variable increase, it becomes 1. If it goes through this, variable increase becomes 2. If loop goes through the third letter, variable increase becomes 3. So the variable increases with the loop. How can we do that? How? All right. First of all, you want to create a variable. We'll call the variable name length, assign it to 0. The next thing you want to do is create a for loop with an initial value of 1, right? Eventually, what you want to print out or console log is the name length, right? Isn't it? Good. I'll do more explanation. So, how do we explain this code? We have an initial value of 1 for our variable I, just like we had up here. All right? The condition for this loop is that as soon as we loop to the last letter of my name, the loop should stop. That's what this means. As soon as I, which is the number we are using to the value of the initial variable I, as soon as it increases to the length of my name, it should stop looping. Right? So this is increase. Now every time the loop happens, we want to increase this variable by 1. Right? So plus means increase by 1. As you can see here, this is increasing by 1 and this is increasing by 1. And eventually we print out the name length for my name. So if we run this code, we have 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. With the space included. I hope we understand what's happening here. The first value is 1, right? It runs, and 1 will be k. As this increases, this becomes what? 1 as well. Then this goes to 2 because this has ordered it to increase. The same thing that happened here. And this runs. 2 is less than the length of my name. Good. This increases to 2. And this asks for this to go to 3. So that's how it happens. Then this becomes 7 until this becomes 7. And we know that 7 is the length of my name. So this condition is met. This increases to 7 as well. Then this asks this to increase to 8. But 8 doesn't meet this condition because 8 is greater than this. And the condition for this code to run is that whatever I is has to be less than or equal to the length of my name. All right? Good. So, and this is now 7. That's why when you console log, you get 7. Right, what if we don't want to count the space? All you have to do is put an if condition. You say, if, as we are looping, we loop through something that is not, all right, the way to put it is, if you're looping, only count characters that are not space. So how do we write that? We come down here, we put an if statement, right? And we open up and say, if my name, right? I'll copy it. So if the value, the character we are looping through in this variable, which is king at, if that character is not equal to space, that's the only time I want you to increase this number. Do you understand? So if I run this code, I'm expecting 6 because there are 4 letters here and 2 letters here. So if we go, do we still have 7? All right, so that semicolon I put was what was messing up the code. So if the value of I while it is looping is not equal to space, increase the count. But if it is equal to it, don't increase the count. That's what it means. Which is why when it did not count this, because it only counts things that are not equal to space. And now we have our answer as 6. All right, so I will put that code down here. So I'll put it down here. All right, so that when we console log, we get our 7 and we get our 6. And there is a better way to write your code instead of just printing out numbers. We could do something like this. The length of my name, Kingsley Arts. Let me make my name fuller. Is that? Then we can come here. I think this is called string literals in JavaScript, where you can make a sentence and put in your variable in this $sign, curly bracket. So if I print this, our printout is now more presentable. The length of my name, Kingsley Atuba, is 10. Meanwhile, for the second one, the length of my name is 9 characters. So what have we learned? We have learned that when you put conditions, do not put this, do not put a semicolon when you're writing an if statement, else your code will not work well, right? We have also learned that we can use string literals for printing our console log. We don't have to just write the value. We can make a sentence. Now, this thing here is not a quotation mark or an apostrophe. It's the value behind the number 1 on your laptop. If you're going 3, 2, 1, the button behind it on your laptop that's the value. All right. And whenever you have that enclosing a string in JavaScript, you can use the $sign with curly bracket to invoke any variable. All right. Even the name length variable was invoked, so that we can present our answer as a sentence.